Welcome to the Bloomz on Tour, a unique and exciting art challenge between 7 talented artists from 4 countries over 7 months. The Bloomz Arthouse Collective is a group of brilliant artists from around the globe, united in their passion for creating stunning art, but divided by the fact that they each work in their own very different artistic medium. So, how would these artists cope if they had to break out of their comfort zones and create pieces of art using the media, processes and techniques of their fellow Bloomz artists? Well, you're going to find this out in these Bloomz on Tour episodes. Now, art is for everyone to try and to enjoy. So how about having a go at these challenges yourself at home? All the details of each task featured in the episodes can be found at thebloomz.co.uk after each episode has aired. You'll have great fun trying different forms of art, and the Bloomz artists will also happily give you encouragement as well as feedback and advice on your creations. In this episode, we travel to the beautiful county of Cornwall in the UK, where the challenge is set by the Bloomz brilliant encaustic artist, Julie Wrathall. Let's first hear from Julie and then see how everyone survives the task that she's set.
Hi, my name is Julie Wrathall. I'm an artist and photographer. Primarily, I specialise in painting with encaustic wax painting, which is using hot molten beeswax. But I also love photography as well, always using my smartphone, which is always in my pocket. So I've got a couple of pieces behind me, a photograph and an encaustic piece. And this is one where I've actually combined my photography and encaustic work together. So a small piece, one of my more recent ones. So I hope you find out more. Okay, so in my challenge, I'm going to get the girls firing up the heat. We are going to be taking heat gun, our encaustic medium or beeswax. We are going to be mixing it with pigment sticks, encaustic waxes, if they have them. I always say encaustic is limitless as your imagination. So if they don't have them, I don't want to be going out and buying loads of new equipment until they know they really want to get into it. So, all equipment that they have, so old oil paints, coloured papers, dried flowers. There are any number of ways that you can colour and pigment encaustic. Pan pastels I love. Again, you can colour the wax from below, underneath the wax, within the wax and on top of the wax. So I want the girls to use all of the supplies that they've already got in their own styles and see what they come up with.
The first step in each challenge is for the artists to open the envelopes they received from their task-setting colleague. Exciting or terrifying? Let's find out.
Open sesame. Oh, can you remember what you put in, Julie? That's the thing. Of course.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
A professional look.
Oh, voila. With encaustic wax. The fridge, then, yeah. Encaustic painting. Heating wax into a hot milk. Steve did try. Steve bought a little heat gun and I said, oh, that might be useful.
Yeah, keep that handy.
This time I will involve my husband who has bee wax from the beehives.
Oh, perfect.
Yes, beeswax, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh dear.
Oh dear.
Sounds very dangerous, heating wax until hot and molten. But with needles for Steph's and hot molten wax for Julie's.
I just can see myself spending time at the emergency room.
Okay, you will need. What? Tag paper.
2 hours. 2 hours.
Oh, is that all we got?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Okay.
You are doing no pre-planning. You are going to jump right in. I thought I'd test Sammy a little bit. I want you to do it entirely intuitively.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Wow.
It's like appropriate places to do this. That's safe.
All I can say is painting is much safer.
Low torch, hot air gun. Wow. I've got a hot air gun, so that's all right.
That's handy.
Me too.
Heat source, craft iron or hot plate. Okay.
Got some other options if you haven't got. What I don't want you to all go and do is buy a load of equipment that you're not going to be using again. So I've got other options. I've got a load of videos as well that will help you with this. So I'll share those for you. So while I say no pre-planning, there will be some instructions. And there's to come along and some videos that I'm going to share with you as well. But I just want you to just literally have fun with it and just literally just play with it.
Play.
So don't go stressing, okay?
Bag paper?
Fag paper, yeah. Cigarette paper. You know what that is.
Who's always like fag paper, last minute fag paper? That was my little twist for you.
Do you not? Have you never understood the joke?
Yeah, I understand the joke, but
you're going to incorporate it.
Bag paper? Really?
You're going to incorporate it into your wax piece.
2 hours to do it. Oh
I wonder if my nose is a smoker. I really don't want to go out and buy fag paper.
I'll let you off with tissue paper, Cindy. Similar thing.
Tissue paper's awesome. I've got plenty of that.
There you go then.
Awesome. Thank you.
There will be further instructions.
Good.
Okay. So I don't have a craft iron or hot plate, so I'll need to.
As long as you've got something that can melt wax, that's fine. I've got a like a DIY what to do when you haven't got a hot plate block. So don't stress, okay?
Bro. Seems to melt your wax.
I need to get my glasses. I read that there's a natural hairbrush.
Natural haired brushes. So not synthetic. No, not hairbrush. So you want natural haired brushes because if they're synthetic, they'll melt with the heat.
Yes, yeah.
And they'll frizzle. So yeah, it must be natural hair.
The beeswax is transparent because the beeswax I have is pretty yellow.
Yep, that's okay. So the wax that I paint with has been there are lots of different ways of treating the wax. So you can sun bleach it. Sometimes it's chemically bleached. So it's fine. We're just going to work with what we've got. It's more about the.
Yes, I will take some medium if you give us the link or whatever.
Okay. Yep. Not a problem.
Okay.
Oil paints and oil sticks. I already have them.
Lovely.
Okay.
As well.
What is
Cool. I don't know if I've got any encaustic medium left. I have had it in the past.
This is what I find. People just get they don't even start because they think it needs I've got to have this and I've got to have that. So this is kind of a resource that I've put together for people just to, because before I started, I didn't know that I wanted to invest in all the equipment. So I've got a resource that kind of shows people how to get started, but without all the proper equipment. And it's enough just to, I'm not saying that you guys are going to want to get into it, but it helps people get started just by having a play with it. Yeah, without all the bells and whistles. And if you decide that you've fallen in love with it, like I did, it's highly addictive, then yeah, you go and invest in this stuff after that. But in the meantime, just do it simply. Like I say, mince pie container and a beeswax candle, and you're off and away. Tea light to melt it in, and you'll be fine. There's a load of this. I would also like it if you can incorporate some of the materials from other people's exercises. So the oil paints, charcoals, basically anything that is porous. Oil pastels, I think, are in some. Watercolour I haven't tended to use with encaustic, but you can certainly paint on paper. So tissue paper is great as well. There's something quite thin that you can embed within the wax, basically. But not anything plastic based, so not acrylic paints, they don't mix well with encaustic. Not gum, for Mac when she's here. Anything kind of plastic based, you're avoiding that completely. But otherwise, oil paints, charcoals. If anybody's got pan pastels, they work beautifully with
Oh,
wax.
I have got pastels. Yeah.
Yeah. I do have a video that will show if you want to make your own beeswax and incorporate. So you can basically you layer the wax up. So I want you to start thinking about putting wax colour, different ways of applying colour, but not necessarily. You can, if you have powdered pigments, you can mix it with the beeswax, which will effectively make an encaustic paint. But equally, you can colour it from underneath, within, and on top. So I want you to and it's all about play.
Julie, using a hog hairbrush, for example, a natural hairbrush, can you clean them out easily afterwards?
You can do. I don't tend to because I'm just lazy. I turn them off and just let them solidify. But if you want to, yes, yeah, you can. Yeah, I would use not your favourite ones, just all one. But yeah, you melt all the wax out, and then you can clean them with soil wax, and then you go on and clean them with soap. The main essential part is having a heat gun or something, because you have to fuse each layer to one another, so you're bonding. So it can be like a flame, blowtorch type thing, creme brulee that you use in the kitchen. I prefer a heat gun because I find I have more control with that, and I get my control by, if I want a really light fuse so that I don't blow everything everywhere, I'll hold my heat gun a bit further away. If I am just doing like a thick fuse, which you would need if you were going quite 3D, you would want to make sure that it's molten enough that you can push it into the wax. So, but yeah, you can build it out. I mean, and people do 3D pieces. I would say you would definitely want your encaustic medium for that. So the medium has a Damar resin added to it, which raises your melting point. But beeswax can be used in exactly the same way. It won't have such a high melting point, and it won't be as durable over the long time. It just normal oil paints. You just take a bit out, leave it on tissue paper, like kitchen paper, and that will actually leach the oil out so that the oil content is less. So yeah, and you can colour it with that. So there are any number you can do. But there's lots of different ways that you can colour it. So don't panic. And even just with coloured papers, don't go out and buy. The intention of this, you're not going out and buying a load of extra equipment. Use what you've got.
Fighting.
Size.
But it's 2 hours, that's it. Put a timer on. As soon as the timer stops, we stop. Because that's what I'm expecting you girls to do.
Right.
As soon as the 4 hours is up, you stop. Wherever you are, you stop.
4 hours? You said 2 hours. Now you just give me 4 hours.
No. Mine's 4 hours. Julie's is 2.
Oh, I see. See, the thing is, I think rules are just guidelines. You see.
Pirates of the Caribbean, they're more like guidelines anyway. We've all got our stripy jumpers on, look.
Yeah. I mean, I've never really, when anybody said, right, and it must be done like this, I go, oh, say that. But, a little bit of... Yeah.
Get in, get mucky, have fun, get out.
So here's my haul from my zoo shift. Some really cool little pieces that I hope to make use of. Oil paint sticks that I found I had at home. Also some oil pastels, which should also be compatible. So g'day, here I am with the natural beeswax palettes. I've also got some of my Primary Elements art pigments that I'm going to experiment with and see how they go in the wax. So that's going to be my first step, to see if I can colour the wax before I start on the actual project. So let's see how we go. There we go. I think that's my colours sorted, or some of them, ready to move on to the next step.
It's all ready to start Julie's task. So I'm going to use natural beeswax, which is in order to melt it, I've bought a mini heat gun. I'm going to use some cutouts from books, and this is a quite old piece of music, and also I'm going to add some color with these R&F foil sticks. The result may be used as a digital version for wrapping paper or cards. So for Valentine's Day.
Encaustic wax. So I've got a box here. I've got some oil pastels, some soft pastels that I could crush into powder to use, some bits of gold leaf. I've actually got an old casserole dish lid to use for melting some of the wax. Empty mince pie containers, so useful for small amounts of colour. I've got a rather delicate and lovely skeleton leaf, a real one. Beeswax in bars, some pure beeswax. A heat gun, that's what I'm hoping is going to do the job for me to melt my wax. I think that's going to get me going, and we'll see what I can produce.
Let's see what we can find. Lollipop sticks. Ready to work. Depilling seeds and salt crystals. Fish scales. Kernels. Besides plums and other fruits. All of a different type. Can't remember what they're from. See. Fluff. Or sort of dried natural stuff.
Okay, so I'm doing Julie's project today. She's given us 2 hours to create a piece of art out of encaustic. So I'll just show you all my bits and pieces I've got ready. So I've got my iron, which I'm going to use as a hot plate. I've got some coloured waxes. I've got my wax medium, encaustic medium. I have my brushes, some tissue paper, some stencils, my trays to melt my wax in, and I'm using a blowtorch, and I've got some dried flowers. So I'm going to plug myself in on my board to do it on. I'm going to plug myself in and get myself started.
Anyway, it's encaustic, so let me go through what I have gathered together. So I did actually get some natural beeswax candles from an artist. I also got some beeswax from a needle felting present because we use cups. I've already melted some, so I've got my mount board. I do have a blowtorch over there. I've got oil paint. There we go, oil paints. So I have got a multitude of things in my little bucket here. Can you see? Masses. Right, so what I've done is I've taken inspiration from the previous task, which was Cindy's, and thought I'm going to play with seeing if I can get sort of a bit of depth, and then with all the barks and everything that I've got in here. But that's my concept, which is start with the concept of the eyes of the tiger and see what colourways and everything, what effects we can get, and whether we can still see the eyes at the end or not. So that's
This is my substrate that I've chosen. It was actually a cover, but let's get cracking, shall we, and see what I can create. Okay, so here we go. It's gonna freak me out. whole idea of painting in wax is very strange to me. But what I thought I might do is I have these really cool Aussie animals and birds serviettes. So I'm thinking to add a bit of Aussie flair, maybe I'll put some of these in. Check that out. That's a bit more interesting.
I might have accessed in with the heat gun, and it's quite irregular as a priming, so I will try to make it more smooth right now. Let's see what I can do. This because, you know, butterflies are quite suggestive, I think, and also these words push the viewer to reflect and really find an emotional connection with the piece. So here is the actual stage of my little encaustic piece. So I will add some colorful elements, and I will use this Sennelier oil stick. It's so terribly colorful. I found some elements I wrote down. I've got some molten wax. I'm just keeping it a little bit more liquid with my craft heat gun, and just keeping that going. And now I'm going to actually go for putting some on the paper. Oh, I need to warm my board. My first bit of actually painting with encaustic wax. Layer of wax on, and now I'm adding some tissue. Just going to add some different colours to it as well. I've got a lovely rich purple here, and I've got just all these wonderful colours I might use. I'm going to just fuse this now
and hopefully get those layers bonded together properly. Well, I've been working away on this one for a little while now. Put it sideways so you can see the whole thing, and decided I might quite like a butterfly on it here. So some of these aren't waxed down yet, so they need to be dealt with. But yeah, I think it's coming on okay. So I just need to let that cool for a minute before I do a final fuse.
First time I've ever used encaustic wax. Initially, I didn't get the right temperature for the melting of the wax, or the right temperature for the heat gun. That took a little bit of time, but after I finished my first layer, I got the hang of it. And then, as Julie asked, I experimented and brought in aspects of the different challenges that we have met. Some from mine, some from Stephanie's, some from Sammy's, and some from brought in the colour of the tiger of Cindy's, and just played and experimented, and I had a lot of fun.
I've done my 2 layers, the medium onto my canvas because I wanted to make some layers first before I put my colour on. So this is where I am at the moment. I'm just going to use my little pointy scraper to scrape some shapes and some lines in. I don't know, I think I'm almost there. I'm going to add a little bit of sky blue, and then I think that's my garden. What I'm doing is, I didn't know what I was going to do, but the purple and the yellow just seemed to keep giving floral shapes, and then I'd already put my flowers on before the yellow, but after the purple, so I knew this was going to be something florally, and I just wanted it to be like Mary Mary, quite contrary, how does your garden grow? I think that's going to be the title of it anyway. I'm going to get some scraping done with this, and then I'm going to get some oil paint and just dab it on my finger and rub it through, and hopefully it'll come out in the etching. We shall see. Okay, so I have now done my etchings into the wax, you can see there, and I've rubbed some gold oil paint into it and wiped it off.
I use my gun directly in the top here to get it good and liquid, and then I've got my heat bowl, which is lovely and warm, to hopefully keep it. So I'm going to start the other side. Okay, so I've just, made it up as I've gone along, because I was going with the eyes, so I'm continuing with that, and added the bark from the tree to sort of do stripes even. This is intuition at its worst. Right, let's give it a go. Let's put a bit of that colour in there too. I'm trying to make it like an abstract more than a, well, it's pretty obvious, isn't it? Than realist, but the sort of elements that I see, I thought best not to. Julie had lovely gloves. I don't have gloves, so I'm just gonna go with a bit of this. Okay, that's still nicely doing its thing, so I think I'm just gonna yeah.
Well, Julie, now the challenge that you set for your fellow Bloomz artists was very different from the art that they normally do, which was, of course, the encaustic wax challenge. How do you think they did overall? What's your impressions?
Yeah, I thought they were great, actually. Very different in styles and approaches. But no, I think as an overall, I don't think maybe Cindy had done a little bit of encaustic before, but I don't think anybody else had. And yeah, it was just really interesting seeing their results and how they approached it actually quite differently, some of them. So yeah, no, it's good.
And how long have you been an encaustic wax artist?
I first saw encaustic in 2012, and it was one of those moments you're like, so yeah.
12 years you've been doing it. And your poor fellow Bloomz artists had just a few days to conquer this very demanding medium. It is very demanding, isn't it, wax?
It is demanding.
It does its own thing, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, you get some of the best happy accidents, and when it goes great, it's amazing, but when it doesn't go great, it's so frustrating, and you have to fight with it, and then suddenly it goes, and you're like, oh, yeah, I love it, so it's, yeah.
Well, let's see if there were any happy accidents from your fellow Bloomz artists. So let's have a look at the first of the final pieces, which was from Cindy. So there's Cindy's piece, Julie. So talk us through what you think about this.
I found Cindy's piece really intriguing. I love the way she's used a round substrate as a start. I think she's the only one to do a round piece, which I really liked. I just love that shape and the interest of it. I was intrigued by it, actually, and I've been trying to work out how she's created it. I think, and I suspect, maybe it's a napkin that she's used and embedded in the wax. I don't know. I can't wait for the video to see how she's done it. The only other ways that I could see, possibly a bit of pan pastel on top, maybe, but within I set a really tight 2-hour time scale for the challenge just because I wanted people to jump in and see how it went. So I think to have got that level of detail in 2 hours would be quite some task. So I'm thinking it's probably along those lines, or tissue with something printed on it. So, but I love I love the overall thing. I love that she's got the gold in there and the gold leaf. And I like how you can see how the tissues on it, or the napkin, or what it is, tissue paper. I feel I could do with a few more layers of wax on there, I think. I love the dried grasses that she's got in, but a bit concerned about the pieces hanging over the edge and, you know, the longevity of that. I can see I think the grasses need to be either flat, you know, pressed, or a lot more wax put on them so that they look as if they're inclined to pop off at the moment. But again, within 2 hours, if people kept to the 2 hour time scale, then that was some going. And I was zooming in and trying to see what's at the bottom. It's almost like little baby feathers at the bottom, but I'm not entirely sure.
I think those are pieces of a cone.
Ah,
you went collecting, because this screams Australia, doesn't it? It
really all over, does. Yeah.
And I think it's the little bracts from a cone that she collected, a conifer cone, one that's indigenous to Australia.
Perfect. Well, between the kookaburras and the koalas, and that all fits in beautifully.
And I can reveal you were spot on with the napkin.
Oh, was I? Oh, yay, good.
Spot on with the napkins, yes. So well done, Cindy. It's a lovely piece. Yeah, it's got some lovely warmth to it, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. I really like it. Yep.
Okay. So, Julie, here is Elisa's piece. Now, Elisa, of course, is our figurative artist from Italy. Again, it's got a very sort of continental look to it, hasn't it?
It has. Yeah, definitely. I like the interest. My eye is being drawn all around the image, and I think, I really love it. And I love the way that the bits of papers, and whether it's tissue or paper that she's done it with, are within the wax, and I love that. I think it's like a really strong foundation. I would, to keep building up and to see more and more of that. I love that, and then just having little pieces coming out and tweaking out, which is where where she's heading with that. I feel as if I could do with a few more. But again, the 2 hour time scale, there's so much, that's such a tight time scale, so that's not a criticism at all. But yeah, a few more layers, or just something, just a little bit of light extra covering on maybe that top layer, or a little bit more fusing, just to kind of blend some of those waxes a little bit more, just something to kind of, it looks to me as if she's got like a clear layer of wax underneath with the papers, which I love, and I always love that effect. I think it's absolutely beautiful. But with the red there, it's kind of not quite sitting on top, but it's not quite blended, and I feel as if I could do with a bit more of that kind of blending going on. But I love it. I really love it. And the papers she's chosen, and the music and the butterflies, I just think it's Elisa all over, isn't it? It tells a story.
Music, memory and travel. I mean,
100%. Yeah.
Elisa, yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah. But no, I love it. I really love it. Yeah.
So the third in our submissions here from your challenge, Julie, is from our landscape oil artist, Fiona Hooper. Very different from the first two.
Yes, very different. And again, I'm going to be really interested to see how Fiona's created this piece, because it looks as if it's kind of torn strips of tissue, of coloured tissues that she's used. And being an oil painter, I had expected Fiona to have a lot more oil paints in amongst the wax as well, as oils and wax, mix so beautifully. Yeah, I can't wait to see how she's created it, but it looks to me as if it's torn pieces. And again, a bit like Elisa's, I think I love the gold leaf on top, the little specks of gold leaf, but a bit more gold leaf on there, just and it kind of really enhanced some of those colours. And what I do love as well, though, she's got a little purple butterfly, and that is my signature. I don't know if she knows this actually, but that's one of my signature pieces, a little purple butterfly. On whether you've bought a card or a gift or anything that ever goes out for me, there's always somewhere a little purple butterfly on it. So I particularly like that little touch. But yeah, I was surprised that I didn't see more oil paints going on with Fiona's, but I do like it. I love the way you're kind of looking through, and it's a little bit like her trees when she's looking through the forest that she paints so regularly. So yeah, I can definitely see the likenesses there.
So let's now have a look at another artist, Mac McGregor. Mac is a visual artist, contemporary artist, sculptor, very out there left field artist. This is Mac's piece. Tell us about this. What do you think about this?
I loved Mac's piece. She looks as if she's had so much fun, and this to me is what the wax is all about. There's depth, there's texture, there's layers, there's scratching back in, there's colour. She's obviously included a lot of her own. Again, it's so hard to tell from photographs of what people have put in, but she looks like she's got some of her own materials in there, maybe some hair or bits and pieces, but some the dried ferns there. She's got the papers. She's got a real mix, and I love it. And it's to me it's just full of texture and colour, and again my eye is being drawn all over the whole piece. So yeah, to me I immediately sense she's had a lot of fun with it.
I think she has, and the more you look at it, the more you start to see.
Exactly.
One section you see something else, and there's some writing on there, isn't there? That
Yeah.
just noticed.
Yeah.
So
Your eye just gets drawn all the way around, as you say. Yeah, there's the text on there, and that's the thing that always gets me with encaustic, is that when you're really drawn in and you just keep seeing more and more and more within the image, and I think Max does that really, really great.
And is there any limit to what sort of colouring you can put in? Do you have to use certain colourings?
Powdered pigments and oil paints, you have to go through a process. You have to take some of the oil out so that it binds and connects up. But yeah, the only thing that really doesn't mix with it well is acrylic, and that's the one to really avoid. So,
well, talking about acrylics, let's go on to our abstract artist here, which is Sammy Hexter-Andrews, who has come up with this stunning piece. I love this.
Yeah, I love this piece as well. It's, again, my eye is instantly drawn all over the whole piece. I just think it's fabulous. It's it's really joyful. Again, it's got that similarity to Sammy's work that she creates in her own thing. Yeah, it's got that similarity to her abstract work. But again, she's got a little bit of all sorts. So although in places you can still see the board underneath, and I really quite like the texture of the board, the substrate she's used, like a canvas board. But equally, she's got areas that are thick and juicy with wax, and that she's used enough heat that they've blended really nicely. And she's got the dried flowers in there. She looks as she might have painted some in as well. So there's a real mix of interest. And again, it's got hot enough that wax has been able to blend and do, create its magic. And
it's a real joyful piece, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I really like it.
Shouts summer.
Yeah. You're just in the garden straight away, aren't you? You can almost smell the flowers and the birds are out, hear the birds around you. So, yeah.
Well, let's finish up then with our last artist, Steph. Steph, you left it now. Steph is a fibre sculptor. She sculpts with all sorts of fibres, wools and other textile fibres. This is her piece here.
I love that she's got the fibres in amongst her wax as well. And it was interesting that she'd picked up Cindy's Tiger. So she had taken Cindy's Tiger challenge by the looks of it and used that as a basis for her encaustic piece, which I actually think is very brave. For a first time of using encaustic, I think it's quite handy to go for something quite abstract rather than something figurative. Wax is a really difficult medium to use. I love the eyes. I think they're great. And I love the fact that she has used, I spy some fag papers in there. I think she's the only artist that I've spied some fag papers.
Well, yes. Cigarette papers for our American viewers.
Yeah. And the other thing I think I can see, again, so difficult to see from a photograph, but it looks like there's a little sprinkle of glitter in amongst the over the eye.
I think there is some up there.
So I like that little nod as well. I think that's brilliant. And I love that she's got a few berries in there. And I couldn't work out what material, whether it's darker paper or whether it's some kind of, it almost looks, from the photo, it almost looks a bit like being on the beach all the time, like a seaweed texture, but it's obviously
not. I can see a vanilla pod in the bottom.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it is or not. But I
didn't know if it's like a bark off a tree or what it is exactly.
Oh yes, I think it is the bark off a tree.
Again, she's got lots of texture in there. I think possibly if the wax had been a little bit hotter, it is a technique that I use actually. I do use the wax quite cool so that I can keep the texture within a piece. But it would be nice to kind of heat the wax so again those colours blend a little bit more, a bit like I was saying on one or two of the earlier ones.
So one of the main features of encaustic is when the light catches it.
Yeah,
that's one thing that we don't get from these still photographs on the screen here.
100%.
Because that you can get some wonderful effects with the light on encaustic, can't you?
As soon as you start filming it and videoing it, like YouTube channel and everything, you can see it in as you're catching the light, and it just transforms. So yeah, definitely.
As well. And it is. So overall then, do you think the girls had a good bite of your challenge?
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. I mean, encaustic is a really difficult medium. You can get some really quick, instant, and I've done it myself, and you're like, oh my goodness, how did I do that? And it was so easy. And then you try and recreate that and you're like, oh no, it's really not. And a lot of it is technique, it's practice. there are, you know, and from the information that I gave them, it was a really, you know, I gave them a very small starting point, and from there you just grow. And
it was over 2 hours, and as you just said, you can't repeat very often with encaustic because the wax has a mind of its own. You can just sort of give it some guidance.
You'll never get two exactly the same, ever. So, no.
But all of them are unique pieces of work, and I know all your stuff is fantastic. I think your task did sort of instill a bit of fear into some of the artists, because especially when they're so down one particular route. But the whole idea of these tasks is to test the artists and push their comfort zones a little bit, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And also I gave I didn't want to overwhelm with instructions, and really this sort of task I gave was literally just a starting point, literally a first starting point and a taster. So that was the whole purpose of it, for sure.
Thank you so much for setting this wonderful challenge for encaustic. And
3, 2, 1, reveal. Oh, look.
Oh, another tiger.
Wow. Oh, Cindy's very Australian. Oh, look at them all.
Oh, yeah.
My God.
Very different.
Wow.
Goodness.
Like Fiona, I have butterflies too.
Yeah. Butterflies were all okay.
Amazing. Right, let's go around individually. So, let's start with Cindy.
So, this is my piece. It was definitely a challenge working with the wax. I struggled with it a lot. I couldn't get it to do the things that I wanted it to do, which was really interesting. My hat's off to Julie, because now I understand how much skill is really involved in becoming good at this medium. Yeah, it was fun. Would I do it again? Not so sure. I use serviettes for the animals, so they're layered in the wax the way that Julie's method showed us. So it was fun, but definitely challenging.
Okay, that's grand. And now we're going to go on to Fiona's.
Oh my gosh. Well, this little offering was actually my second attempt.
Beautiful.
Trying, well, with limited equipment, I have to say, like heating the wax on the gas on the hob and doing all sorts of things. So it's basically got tissue paper and oil pastel, and I don't know if you can see there's some glitter on it as well, and on the butterfly there's glitter. I don't think it's focusing many. Anyway, so it's got some bits and pieces in it. I tried with all different techniques, like you were showing, like scratching in and shaving some pastel dust into it and all sorts of things. But when I got to this stage, and I thought, do you know, I didn't want to do any more to it. I just thought it's enough, leave it. So I really enjoyed playing with it. I really enjoyed using your techniques, Julie.
Playing's good.
Playing's good.
It's good, yeah. Absolutely. And
I love, actually, which you don't get on the photograph, when you turn it to the light and you can just see the texture and the
yeah.
And you get that lovely, like, waxy sheen.
Okay, Elisa, you're next.
This is one. The idea was to recall the atmosphere of Banksy, and so I decided to overlap some paper that was suitable for collage and piece of music and words, and the words are memory and the travel, which seems to be appropriate for the metaphor of butterflies. And then I used a red oil bar by R&F.
Awesome.
And I used it to do all these shapes like escaping butterflies from a sort of gate. These are, they suggest the idea of a cage that is open and the butterflies can escape and do their job.
I love the colours as well.
Really,
it is beautiful. Yeah.
Surprised because I had fun that morning when I did this task, and it was very hard for me to obtain, that regular smooth surface, and but I love the final effect, which is quite opaque, and it seems like that the pieces of paper are suspended in the wax. And that's the thing that I like most, I think, this small piece, because it's really just a small piece. So I did what I could.
Lovely.
That's beautiful. Excellent. Sammy.
Oh, so this is my one.
Oh.
I don't know if you can see, I've got some gold oil paint in there. So it's a number of layers, and I put in some dried flowers in beneath the layers, and these areas here are my wax lilies and flowers, but I etched into the bottom, so into the bottom going up there's can't really see it, but there's gold stems and leaves joining it all up. But I really loved it. I loved playing with it. I had a blowtorch, not a heat gun, so I scorched in a couple of places.
Wow.
But I was looking at Julie's work online and her going into her videos and looking at how she makes all the layers. So I was trying to do that, trying to get the layers in. But I don't know, I don't think I did too bad. I'm not sure. I mean, it looks a bit messy. It looks messy, but I think it looks like a garden. That was my plan.
Yes, it does. Yeah,
absolutely.
But I didn't plan it. If I say that, I didn't plan it. What happened was, I'll tell you what it was. It was this up here, this red up here. I was melting it, and when Julie says, and when you stop and it needs to find its own space and settle, that's when I thought, oh my goodness, it's a flower. And so that's when I went on from there. So it wasn't planned, it's just how it took me.
very good.
Lovely.
Woo! Fantastic. Mac.
Ooh, well,
Wow. Lovely.
when Julie says play, and you can incorporate lots of materials and extra points if you include different aspects of different folks. So I've included hair from mine, the colours of the tagger from Cindy's, Sammy's. I've written the music down on paper for Sammy, as well as using dried flowers. Is there anything else that I've included? And for yours, Julie, I played around with techniques and just had a ball. I'll go into detail for some of the stuff.
Wow.
Amazing.
It's quite
Wonderful.
I love it.
I had so much fun. And when you said, but no plastic, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to explore plastic with encaustic wax and see what happens. So thank you so much for setting this challenge.
Oh, I love it. I think that playfulness comes across. You can see there's just so much going on. It's like things all over.
Fantastic.
That's awesome.
Okay, and now. Oh my god. Well, I don't think I was in control of this. And obviously I started off with my eyes from my tiger from Cindy's project, and I thought, right, I'll get stuff out the garden, this is actually bark from the tree in the garden. I thought trying to get the stripes on, and all the colours of oils, and suddenly thought at the end, haven't put the flag paper on, so I ceremonially stuck it on. I just felt completely out of control. I just felt like it didn't do what I wanted it to do, but so it felt like a whole experiment. And my thought was I would really need to go and actually have a proper session with someone who got all the gear to do it properly, because I like Sammy, I watched you and saw you do all your layering, and it just didn't work. You know, it either went on really thick or I heat it up so much it pretty much fell off. You know? Right, I'm clearly not doing something right here. But nevertheless, it was just sort of one big game of play, and that was what you said, was to play and to use stuff and everything. So that, yes, I did do. It doesn't look anything like I thought it would.
But I love it because when just looking at yours as well, there's so much texture in there, and you know, those are all techniques that you can go on and once you know what they do and how they create those techniques, you can use them to your advantage. So yeah. Did you enjoy the process, or did you find it frustrating?
No, I did, because I enjoyed the whole setting it up and getting everything melted and getting the guns out and everything, and that was actually great fun. My frustration was just that I thought it was going to look one way, but that was the whole point of it, wasn't it? Was to not plan it, but it was just, I thought I would have more control over. I don't know why I thought that. Why would I?
Wax has its own. Loves
exactly.
its own.
I have no idea why I thought that would be the case. So that was like a whole, oh my lord. So yeah.
Coming up next time on the Bloomz on Tour.
My challenge is to create a painting inspired by the beauty of nature in oils and painted with knives. So when I say knives,